A little while ago, CNN did a special on Steve Bannon. It was called Divided We Fall. That was the whole thing. And it was a look into what Steve Bannon was doing in terms of his relationship to the president, to reaching out to far-right leaders in Europe and South America and whatnot. And how much of a, what's the term I could use? Malthusian way that he wanted to do things, where a certain group of elite at the top were to control everything, and that the bottom lower sections of the population should be sacrificed for the wealth and the greatness of the top. Which sounds very much like fascism. Now, here's my contention. Now, we know that Bannon is a fascist. There's really no denying that. Extreme far-right policies, racism, division, pandering to kooks, conspiracy theory nutbags, and people with completely authoritarian manners of thinking. That being one of his great things was supporting Bolsonaro, and the fascist who's running Hungary, whose name I can neither remember nor pronounce. But what really got me on this was that recording of Bannon saying, even if Trump loses, he's going to say the election was stolen. In other words, they already had a whole plan in place that if Trump lost, they were going to falsely claim that the election was stolen. It's right there in front of you. He deliberately said there was a plan to falsely accuse the election of being stolen. Now, of course, you can't talk to QAnon or even MAGAs on any rational level whatsoever because they don't want to believe it. They just want to believe whatever kind of conspiracy theory nonsense comes out of their right-wing addled minds. But what's important here is to look at how this was so deliberately planned out. And despite every single cry of freedom that Steve Bannon and the ilk proclaim, they did the most authoritarian thing they could do. Deliberately undermine a democratic election to put in someone undemocratically, a demagogue, someone who rules by personality, not even by, well, you can't even say he's good. He doesn't have any, Trump doesn't have any ideas, let alone good ones. Or would have been someone that Bannon would have liked to have manipulated. And that's the point. The very anti-democratic essence that he stands for. He's literally against democracy. Now, we have our own idea of democracy, workers' democracy, proletarian democracy, representative democracy, whatever your particular flavor of leftist democracy you particularly subscribe to. But the hypocrisy of him saying this is about freedom when he's just a fucking fascist. He deliberately was working to undermine a democrat, as democratic as capitalism ever is, to install a dictator. And all the information that has come out on the January 6th committee on exactly how Trump attempted to completely overthrow democracy in favor of keeping himself in office. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't a pro-Democrat stance here. I'm not defending the Democrats against the evil Republican Party. They're both garbage in my eyes. But what's important here is to see how close a real fascist coup came in the United States, and how easy it was to get people to go along with it. Every single one of these bullshit militias, the 3%ers, the Oath Keepers, the Proud bitches, boys, all of them, for every loud, blustering sound about freedom, 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 and 1776 is going to rise again. What did they do? Attempted to overturn a democratic election, which is the thing that they say that they support, is democracy and freedom. And all of them are nothing but tools of a fascist, Trump and Steve Bannon, to keep Trump in power. What's my point here? They're frauds. Oath keepers, 3%ers, Proud Boys, you're fascists. Straight up, no other way of putting it, no other way of interpreting it. You are fascists. You are fascist scum. See that right there? And that's my point. All of the blustering that you've done for decades, talking about how you support freedom and 1776 is going to rise again, this is what the founding fathers would have wanted. You did the opposite of what the founding fathers wanted. You're frauds. Every single one of your organizations is a fake, is a lie, and nothing more than a cover for fascism. Now, we've always known that, but you exposed yourself beyond any shadow of a doubt to even yourselves. You have to be able to see it now, that you're a fucking lie. There's no denying it at this point. You would have someone, you put the mirror up to yourself when you attempted to overthrow a U.S. election in favor of a fascist. I want you to admit that's what it really is. You don't like democracy when it's someone you don't want in office. That's not how democracy works. Democracy isn't when your guy wins. And again, I can argue capitalism is no democracy at all. But I'm speaking to you in the context of your own beliefs. You are fascists. Every single time you talk about freedom or 1776, cut it out. Because you're wrong. And you're a liar. And at this point, there is no way you don't know that you're wrong. You know that you're a fascist. You know that you are a liar. You know that you are a fraud. And that's the final point that you finally have to admit to yourself. And drop all this rhetoric about freedom and just wave a swastika like you really intend. You are a fascist. You are a fraud. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.